Part 3, The Weight of Legacy. Chapter 1, Scars of the Flame. Victory sings in silence. It is not the roar of the battlefield or the clashing of blades. It is the breath afterward, the stillness when the dust settles, when the wounded are counted, and the dead laid to rest. It is the ache behind the eyes, the shaking in the hands, the blood you cannot wash away. Astrid knew this silence well. She sat alone beneath the twisted roots of a whirled tree fragment, her back against the bark, armor cracked and smeared with soot. Her spear rested beside her, still warm from the last battle's fury. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from exhaustion so deep it pulsed in her bones. The latest skirmish had been a victory, just like the one before it, and the one before that. But even victories leave scars. Her side bore a fresh cut, deep, angry, wrapped now in cloth stiff with blood. She'd taken it shielding a fallen Valkyrie, one who'd once doubted her, now calling her captain. The wound would heal, but others wouldn't. A cracked rib that never quite set right, and worse still, the weight behind her eyes, the names she couldn't forget, the ones she didn't save, the cries that haunted her dreams. Valkyries did not weep, but sometimes Astrid did. Only when alone, only when no one was watching. That evening, as stars stirred across the sky and the wind whispered like old ghosts, Freya came to her. Not in grandeur, not in fanfare. She simply walked the path between realms and stopped beside Astrid's resting place. "You've lost weight," the goddess said, almost wryly. Astrid let out a breath. "And blood." Freya crouched beside her, gaze tracing the wounds, the tired eyes, the lines of strain forming too early on a mortal face. "You carry more than you should." "I carry what I must," Astrid replied. From behind, footsteps crunched over ash and stone. Brynja knelt beside her, silent for a moment. Her pale eyes scanned the wound, then flicked up to Astrid's face. "You should rest," she said flatly. "The others are watching." Astrid chuckled dryly. "Since when do you care if I bleed?" Brynja's gaze lingered a moment longer. Then, "I don't. But I've seen what happens when you fall. The rest follow." It wasn't praise, but it wasn't disdain either. Freya studied Astrid for a long moment, then reached behind her back. From the golden mist she conjured came a spear. Its shaft gleamed like sunrise on snow. Runes of power spiraled along its length, each one glowing faintly with divine breath. The blade was long, lean, and deadly, its edge catching the light of stars and giving nothing back. "This is Gulskjoldur," Freya said. "The golden shield spear, forged for the hands of one who protects before she strikes." Astrid stared at it, hesitant. "It's too fine for me." "No," Freya said. "It is yours." She held it out, and Astrid took it, slowly, reverently. The weapon pulsed in her grip like it recognized her, like it had been waiting. With it came weight, not just of steel, but of legacy. "You're not finished, Astrid Ironsong," Freya said, rising. "But you are no longer rising. You are risen." And as the goddess vanished into the dusk, Astrid stood, spear in hand, bones aching, heart heavy. Still mortal, but walking in the footsteps of the divine. Chapter 2, The Drunken Valkyrie. The sky wept sleet and ash. Below, the valley churned with chaos, Valkyries locked in battle with Draugr, twisted spirits of the unburied dead, clawing their way from cursed graves. Snow stained red, steel shattered bone. Screams tore through the wind, and in the heart of it all stood Astrid. She held Gulskjoldur high, its golden blade slicing arcs through the blizzard. Every strike was earned. Every breath was defiance. But even she, spear-blessed, battle-born, was beginning to falter. Her wingmates had fallen back. The line was breaking. Too many, too fast. A shadow leapt toward her, a howling corpse wolf, its eyes burning green with hate. Astrid didn't hesitate. She pivoted, drove the spear through its skull, and roared as its weight collapsed into the snow. But the silence after the kill was too loud. She was alone now. The rest were still fighting in the gorge below, but she'd been cut off, isolated on the ridge, surrounded. Her enemies circled, hissing, weapons drawn. Her limbs shook. Blood soaked through her leggings. Her strength was waning. They wanted to see her fall. And so, she gave them something else. She sang. Low at first, ragged. A sound dragged from deep in her chest. But it grew, clear and fierce, cutting through the storm like a blade of sound. A song not of sorrow, but of rage, of burning villages, of lost fathers, of rising again and again when the world tried to bury her. It was not pretty, it was powerful. From below, Valkyrie heads turned. Even the enemy paused, if only for a heartbeat. The song climbed higher, wild and iron-touched, a voice that should not still be singing. And yet, it did. She sings? One whispered. She sings while dying? No, another said, eyes wide. She sings while winning. Astrid surged forward with a scream woven into melody, her spear a blur of fury. One Draugr fell, then another, then another. The battle tilted. By the time her sisters reached her, the ridge was littered with broken corpses and Astrid stood in the center, chest heaving, voice still echoing through the snow, her iron trainee's armor dented and slick with blood. Later, when the fires were lit and the wounded tended, Astrid sat alone once more beneath the twisted roots of the world tree fragment. Her breath steamed in the cold as she unslung a small flask from her belt, a private stash of strong mead, a habit she'd picked up when the dreams grew too loud. She drank until the ache in her chest dulled, until the faces of the fallen blurred behind a warm haze, until the stars stopped watching. She did not toast. She did not sing. She just drank. The next morning, still bleary-eyed and aching, she rose with the others. The call to arms rang through the barracks. Astrid answered it with a crooked smile and a pounding skull. She fought that day hungover and half-dressed, and still, she won. She's a golden whirlwind, one Valkyrie would later joke. Once the drink kicks in. She hits harder drunk than most do sober, another added. The name began as a jest, but it stayed as legend. The drunken Valkyrie. She fought to forget. She drank to remember less. And the world, somehow, loved her more for it. Chapter 3. The Enduring Flame. The war drums beat like thunder. Astrid stood at the edge of the battlefield, wind tearing through her hair, Gulskjolder clenched tight in her hand. The golden spear gleamed in the half-light, its etched runes glowing with quiet fury. A gift from Freya, forged for one who protects before she strikes. It was no ordinary weapon. In battle, it flared when she defended the fallen, runes sparking like wildfire whenever her body stood between death and her sisters. The blade cut clean, but its true power was in its name. Golden Shield. When Astrid fought with it, others stood taller beside her. When she raised it high, the tide of battle shifted, not by force alone, but by courage awakened. She had lost count of the battles. Her armor bore the wear of countless campaigns, streaks of gold barely visible beneath dense and dried blood. The mead from the night before still clung faintly to her breath, but her focus was clear, her stance unwavering. The wind howled. She laughed back. Steel in hand and mead on breath, someone whispered behind her. She laughs at death, another answered. Then they charged. Astrid led the charge with fury and grace, Gulskjoldur slicing through the first line of cursed warriors like dawn through mist. She fought with that same wild tempo the others had come to follow, rhythmic, relentless, almost musical. Her war cry tore through the storm like lightning. Draugr fell in her wake, bones cracking under the weight of her fury. Her laughter rang loud, not drunken, but bold, echoing across the field like the roll of distant thunder. Her wings had not yet come, but still she soared. By the time the field quieted, Astrid stood in a ruin of shattered shields and broken blades. Her body ached, her spirit burned. That night, the Valkyries feasted. Astrid did not lead the toasts, but she raised her horn when they honored the fallen. She laughed with her sisters, and when the others drifted to rest, she sat beneath the stars, alone. Her flask was small, the drink inside, just enough to chase off the cold. She took one sip, then another, not to forget, not tonight, just to feel the fire again. As dawn broke, she rose with the others, a little slower, a little heavier. But when the call to arms came, she answered it first. Freya watched from afar, eyes narrowed, heart full. She burns still, the goddess said, and so she did. When her time finally came, Astrid knelt beneath the tree where her journey had begun. The ground around her was scarred by the years, roots and blood mingled in quiet memory. She placed Gulskjoldur across her lap and bowed her head. "I am ready," she whispered. Freya descended in silence. "You've burned long," she said, "and brightly." Astrid looked up. "I'm not done, but I'm tired." The goddess smiled. "Good. Then let the fire carry you higher." She placed her hand upon Astrid's shoulders, and wings, white, vast, and radiant, unfurled from her back. Not conjured, not borrowed, given. And the battlefield grew quiet. From across the land, warriors raised horns to the wind. Her name, Ironsong, carried on every breeze, shouted in every hall. Raise your horns and toast her might, queen of war and endless fight. Songs of steel and mead-soaked fame. Astrid Ironsong, carve the name. And as her wings caught the wind and lifted her skyward, one final cry rolled through the clouds like thunder. "Astrid Ironsong, remember the name!"